Hey everyone, this is Hollander Cooper from GamesRadar.com here with Danile Erickson, lead writer on Star Wars: The Old Republic, which just recently launched. How you doing?
Fantastic. How are you doing?
Not bad. Happy the game's finally out?
It's amazing. Getting people in there for the, all the early access and watching people come in and literally having more people come in per day than a lot of MMOs have ever seen in an entire thing. Like, very scary. Went really well. Servers stayed up the entire time. Still nice and smooth to get in and play. Now comes the big days.
Yeah.
Now the game's actually out on the shelves. People can run and get it. So, yeah, it's scary but super exciting.
Now, obviously, it sounds like you had a lot of fun writing the game. Was there any class in particular you had more fun writing? Like, what was your favorite one to write for?
Well, all the classes have different authors.
Oh, okay.
We've got a very big writing team. As the lead writer, my job is more to bring everybody together, make sure everybody's covering all the stuff. Like I said, it was 60 man-years of writing at the end of this thing, and I got to edit every single line in the game. I didn't do a whole lot of the actual writing. At the beginning, we thought I was going to handle a class. Very quickly, turned out that wouldn't be true. So I wrote the first two Worlds of the Bounty Hunter, and loved that.
I've heard people talking about how hilarious it is that you're just, everything you're doing as the bounty hunter for early on is just like, bring me more skulls. Like, I need more bodies, more proof that you've killed these people.
You can see a little bit of the influence of rolling directly off Dragon Age Origins and into the bounty hunter. And we did have to tame it down a bit. One of the interesting early things about exploring the Empire was that what I realized from Star Wars is that you could do insane, over-the-top cartoon evil, and it would still feel like Star Wars. But you didn't want to do a lot of malicious, realistic evil. You didn't want to be Dexter.
Right.
You wanted to be Flash Gordon, right? It can be way, way over the top. You can say, bring me that guy and stack skulls, but it has to be that over the top. So even though you're like, whoa, that was super evil, but it doesn't strike you in the same sort of nightmarish real world way, right? It still has to feel fairy tale evil.
Now, way back then, you said you were deciding to make the MMO, and this one ended up being at the top. Was there talk of like a Mass Effect MMO?
There were a bunch of different talks. We did talk about we wanted to do we did talk about doing an internal license, but we did want to do some sort of a pre-established license for the first one. We'd already been through the experience with both Mass Effect and Dragon Age. That those were obviously much smaller scoped games, and it still took an incredibly long time to build out the worlds from a creative perspective. At the end of the day, we did the final calculations, and the Old Republic has 60 man-years of writing in the game.
Wow. But how early on, when you decided Star Wars, did you decide? Was the decision made like, all right, we're going full voice acting? We're doing what's really never been done before.
So we always wanted to do full voice acting for everybody, for all the NPCs. But we were really still in that Dragon Age mindset. It wasn't until we were still in the first year of development, and the first or second year, and the first full build of Mass Effect came down. And not like the public release, but the internal one. And James and I were playing it, and we both just, I went into James's office, and we just stared at each other. Oh my God. It changed the whole game.
It really feels like you found the perfect voice for each character. The smuggler sounds cocky.
I'll just keep my head then, since you won't be needing it. Such witticisms will not save you.
And funny, and they when the characters have to be funny, they can, and some of the other characters, like the Sith Inquisitor, has like a Anthony Hopkins kind of voice.
Don't get all sentimental on us. We've only just met.
I won't.
Well, so the ones that were super complicated, the Sith Inquisitor, because you need to be able to be both Palpatine as he presented himself. So the Sith Inquisitor has to be able to be sophisticated and intelligent and actually even warm and believe that he could sort of seduce somebody politically. And the Anthony Hopkins example is a fantastic one for that, because then he also has to be able to be completely psychotic.
Yeah.
Right? The agent who had to switch accents at will, we discovered very early that you definitely cast a British person for that. Because an English accent done poorly by an American will send the British public into a rage, whereas Americans don't notice bad American accents. And they actually do a very good American accents. The hardest one was a Jedi Knight.
Really?
Yeah, we started off saying, oh, you're doing Luke Skywalker, but nobody wants to be Luke Skywalker, right? We wanted Luke's powers, but nobody wants to be whiny farm guy. So I think we recast that one more than any other one. And we were like, okay, we need sort of a Chris Reeves Superman. You know, I'm sort of an every guy, but I can be strong. You know, there's nothing wimpy about it. And it was when they brought up the idea of David Hayter, who's obviously Solid Snake,
Right.
I did not jump on that as a piece. And then when I heard his audition, I really had not understood how versatile he was. And he does a fantastic job as the Jedi Knight. He does a great leading man. He actually does feel extremely young at the beginning of the game. But as you can guess, really has the ability to pull out that edge when he needs it.
Being a Jedi Knight is my calling. What else can the Masters tell me?
So how did you approach the process of making the sort of morality light side, dark side choices? Was it sort of like from the beginning when you made the quest, you decided like, all right, at the end we want this to have it? Or was there like, did you get to a point where you decided, hey, this character really could be tortured or set free? Or how did that process go?
Well, different authors definitely work in different directions. And even different quests. Sometimes a quest starts from a character, right? I just have a great character in mind. I want to do something with him.
Right.
Sometimes it starts from a decision. Sometimes it starts from a theme or a plot perspective. Probably the thing about the light side, dark side that is the most interesting in the writing is that all of the classes came at it a little bit differently. We actually built sort of a scale of where people were when the game started on the light side, dark side. So the Jedi Knight, for instance, is our most light side character by default.
Right.
So when you get dark side options as a Jedi Knight, at the very beginning, they're like, hey, you could tempt this person to sort of do something not so good. You could give some bad advice and send them on a bad route. Your dark side option is not, hey, go, murder everybody in this village. Because how did you get to be where you are in the first place? In the same thing, the Sith Inquisitor, your first light side options are, hey, maybe don't torture that guy quite so much, right? Because you need to take your baby steps towards the light side. Whereas the Trooper and the Smuggler, who are really sort of just men of the world, are a little bit more into straight light side, dark side right from the beginning, as are the Agent and the Bounty Hunter.
I have one more question, and I think it's something that'll, now that you've looked at everything in the game,
yes,
every line of dialogue, how many times are Midichlorians brought up?
0.
0 times.
0.
All right, that's confirmation.
They won't be discovered for quite some time.
All right, good to know. All right, well, the game is out. Thank you very much. I'm excited to go back to my desk right now and play it. And you can check out more Star Wars The Old Republic news, reviews, and everything on GamesRadar.com.